This is 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio Horror Show. If you're not listening to us live at midnight, from midnight to 2 a.m., then hopefully you're catching this on the Radio Horror YouTube page, as the interview will be archived there. And tonight on the show, we have a distinguished LA actress with us who has a pretty impressive IMDb list, having recently appeared and going to be returning to famous television series on HBO, currently Westworld, as well as several other projects coming up that she's going to talk to us about, like Killer Island, which sounds really cool. We have Jackie Moore on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jackie, all the way from New Jersey to LA, did you just grow up and say, you know what, I'm going to move out to LA and become a big star?
No, I did not.
Okay.
And I definitely still don't think that way. I mean, I moved from New Jersey to New York when I was 18 years old. I packed up my Pontiac Sunfire and I was just like, I'm moving, and didn't really have a plan, but I'm one of those people that's just like, if you jump, the net will appear, It's just like, I just kind of do things when I want to do them and just hope for the best. But, I got lucky with some stuff.
Going back, you started out in Gossip Girl, which is a show I never watched.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea, but you were
Okay.
that must have been a good break for you, considering how popular that show was on at the time.
I thought you were a huge Gossip Girl fan. I'm so disappointed.
No, I'm a bigger fan of 30 Rock, though, so.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just basically, I mean, when you are first starting out and I was modeling in New York, so it was kind of like a modeling type part.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I had to be covered in body paint. And then, so I'm in the first episode, and I'm laying on Chuck Bass. I guess he's Ed Westwick is the actor's name. And so I was I had to lay on him in one scene and kind of ice his face. I guess he had gotten in a fight in the episode. And so that was a pretty weird part, because I was supposed to be a statue that he sees at a party, and then he takes back to his hotel or apartment and does stuff with,
Stuff.
Yeah, that would be messy because there was body paint all over me. So, but we didn't actually have to do anything. So it was just implied.
Is the statue like a marble statue?
Yeah, I was in body paint for a long time. They had to cover my entire body in this kind of ivory paint, and then they drew on marble lines on my whole body.
Oh, okay. And there's a picture of you in the body paint on IMDb, right?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, go on to the episode of Gossip Girls that you're in, click the episode, then click the picture. Don't click the Gossip Girl link, but click the episode you're in, and then under the 14 pictures posted for the episode, you're standing there with your hand out or whatever, wearing kind of like a shoulder bra and a diaper looking thing. I don't know how else to describe it. Okay.
Yes, I was wearing a diaper. It was great.
Okay.
No.
You don't look identifiable because you don't have your blonde hair. Your hair is brown in it. So, but you do. But I figured, this had to be you, because based on the cracks in the skin that you told me about for the marble look.
Well, there was two of us, so it could be the other girl. But I'm gonna look into this right now. I'm doing some detective work.
Okay, it could be the other girl then, unless you were wearing a brown wig in the episode.
I was the main girl though, so don't get it twisted.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not identified who's in the picture, so.
Let me see.
And again, I've never watched Gossip Girls. So.
That looks like it could be me. Yeah, there's a brunette, and then I was on the other side. It was she and I were both in this makeup.
I do love how they list you, though. It's a nearly nude model.
Nearly nude model. Yeah, it was weird. It was my first job ever. I was talking to her in the trailer. I remember that. No, I was just saying that I remember being in the trailer with Blake Lively and the other girl. I forget her name, the brunette girl. But Blake Lively was so nice and just such a cool chick. She was so nice to me, and she didn't have to be. I was just an extra, but
Well, that's that is a good show of character for the stars of a show, that they treat the extras like they have been there all along, just like everyone else, and they don't look down on you just because you're an extra and they treat you like a second-class citizen.
Exactly. And she was, and you know what? I'll get back to that in 1 second because Tina Fey is another one that was just the sweetest, most genuine person I'd ever met on set. And I absolutely loved her, and I'll never forget that. And
Yeah.
she was the same.
And I've heard that about Tina Fey a lot, mainly because Tina Fey is such a feminist and such a a rallier for women in media, such as television and movies and things, that it would be unheard of to hear anything bad about how she treats anyone on anything that she works on, especially women extras.
Yeah, she could have been more just genuine. She was just so sweet and just I really got such a great impression from her. I really liked her a lot. And she like went on David Letterman and told the story of when Tracy Morgan kind of like said this funny thing about me, and I didn't even know. I remember one of the other cast members from 30 Rock kind of sent me the David Letterman thing. But anyway, about Gossip Girl, yeah, Blake Lively had done, Traveling Pants, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and stuff. So same kind of thing. She didn't have to be so sweet, and she just was really genuine and really easy to talk to, and didn't act. She was very humble and cool.
After a while, were you getting tired of always being just cast as like, just like the model, the sexy photographer, the hot blonde, the hot girl? Did that stuff really get to bother you after a while? I mean, I know a lot of actresses, it does, you know what I mean? Because that's not who they are. They don't just want to be looked at as some type of like sex pot.
That is all I am. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, kind of, but I'm, between me and you and the fans listening.
I'm totally kidding. The way I look at things is, I will take every opportunity within reason. I mean, I just want to work, and that's just always been my motto. Is kind of just like, if you're lucky enough to be cast in something, even if you're playing the sexy part, you use the experience, or like do the best you can with that part. And it is acting. It's like there are going to be times when you're doing things that maybe are out of character for you, but I think it's good experience. And if no one's getting hurt or it's not gratuitous, then like what the heck, you're in this business for a reason. It's not always that easy. So you can't say no to everything, because then doors start shutting.
Well, that's an interesting question. Has there anything you ever had said no to that turned around and become something really big, and afterwards you were like, "Fuck, I wish I hadn't said no to that."
Nothing that I don't regret. I mean, I just don't really think like that. I feel like if parts find people,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's parts that I did audition for that I didn't get, or but with Westworld, I think like I knew that I had to be naked, and I remember I flipped a coin to decide if I was going to do it.
Ah.
I was like, heads if I do it, tails if I don't. And it was heads. So I did it.
Was it, had you done any nude modeling prior to Westworld?
No, I'd done some, some stuff, some sex scenes and once in a while.
In a horror movie here or there, yeah.
Westworld is like every single person that goes on that show, I'm pretty sure, even like the big stars in the show, everyone has to sign a nudity contract. Like it's just a prerequisite if you want to be on that show. Like you might be naked.
Even Anthony Hopkins?
That's what I was thinking. I think everyone has to.
When you got to your scene, were there other actors? I mean, you're in the laboratory. I had recently rewatched the 2 episodes you were in, and you're returning for season 2, which I know you're not allowed to talk about, so don't worry. But the 2 episodes that you're in, you're in the rebuilding chamber or whatever the hell it's called, and there are other actors sitting and standing around, also nude. Old, young, skinny, fat, so on and so forth. Does that make it more comfortable? That you're not just the only one sitting there, and you're not even completely naked either. I mean, you kind of have a corset on.
Yeah, I was, and then there was the bathtub scene too, where I get up and like out of the bathtub.
Yeah.
But I think I just didn't feel uncomfortable ever on that set because they were so nice. I mean, the director, Jonathan Nolan, was there with his wife, and they were so amazing to work with and so accommodating. And you don't feel uncomfortable in any way. It actually just it was the most professional set I've ever worked on, where I've done smaller projects where obviously, there's scenes where you could be a little nervous or whatever, but something like this was definitely more, you'd think you'd be more nervous, but for some reason it's just such a comfortable environment and it just didn't feel that scary. And maybe because the show didn't exist yet, I was there like, that was like 2 years ago now. I did the pilot and then I came back to do the second episode. And maybe because it didn't exist, I almost didn't take it seriously. It's almost like you don't think anyone's going to see it because you're like, oh, well, I kind of feel like that about everything though. When you're on set, you almost feel like, well, maybe no one will see it. And that kind of makes you more comfortable in a way.
So it was definitely a role that you were glad you said yes to, because now you get to come back for season 2. And I know, again, you can't talk about anything involving it, but it could lead to, and since you're a robot, you know what I mean. Even if you were like blown up, you can be rebuilt. They have the technology; they can revive you. As they say in the $6 Million Woman.
I've never seen the rest of the season. I've only seen my episodes. How bad is that?
That's terrible.
I'm not a big TV person. I know it's awful, but I'm like a movie freak and true crime, like documentaries. That's what I watch. And so I feel like sometimes I get sad when series end. Like I do watch some shows, I'm not gonna lie. I do watch a lot of more comedy stuff, but I feel like I get sad when a show is over. And it's like I get separation anxiety. I don't know. Does that make sense? It's weird.
No, it's fine. A little bit. Had you ever seen the Westworld movie before you were on the show?
I did. Yeah, I watched the movie.
With Yul Brynner.
Yeah, with Yul Brynner. I watched the movie, and I actually remember the audition. I modeled my hair after the prostitute in the one scene where her hair was kind of like flipped out. And so I went to the salon before my audition and like had my hair blown out like that. I had a photo from the movie.
They made a sequel called Future World, and then there was actually a Westworld television show in the 80s before the one that you're on.
Really?
Yeah, it got canceled after one season, though. It was it almost had nothing to do with the actual plot line from the movie.
So was it also it's Crichton, right?
Crichton. Michael Crichton, the creator of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he was incredible. I know he passed away I believe
10 years ago.
10 years ago. His work is some of my favorite.
Yeah, his work still lives on today with Jurassic World 2 coming out this year.
Jurassic Park will always be my favorite movie ever. I changed my life when I was a kid when I saw Jurassic Park. You
know what's funny? I just took my son to go see Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and Laura Dern, Ellie Sandler from Jurassic Park, she plays General Holdo in the Last Jedi.
I haven't seen The Last Jedi yet. I'm so excited. I was gonna go a few days ago, but I'm gonna go this week.
She is the second in command of the Resistance behind, of course, Princess Leia or General Leia, and she's got purple hair in it.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I love Laura Dern.
Yeah,
she just won a Golden Globe just now.
Oh, tonight?
Yep.
What did she win it for?
For Big Little Lies.
Oh, that's right. She's on that show. I have not seen that show yet. So, again, there's so much television to keep up with sometimes. I was just telling my girlfriend that we need to catch up and finish Slasher, which is a show on a Canadian horror show that airs on Netflix. It's not Netflix exclusive, but it just the show then airs after it airs in Canada. And every season is standalone and different. You were talking about being into serial killers and such. I also had seen that you were in a movie or a TV show, something about Richard Speck, the guy involved in the Chicagoland massacre.
Yes, Richard Speck. It was like a kind of a found footage movie.
Oh, okay. So it was a paranormal investigation. Like Richard Speck comes back as a ghost.
Exactly.
Okay, I did not see the movie, but I can just imagine. You know what Richard Speck did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Does his ghost kind of replicate what the real life killer did?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's pretty bad. I think it's also kind of strange. It's also one of the the house, they try to make it look like on the cover of the DVD or the poster, it's like the Amityville. They kind of make it seem like it's an Amityville style house, not the style like the way the architecture is, but with like the glowing lights, and then you have a girl in her underwear running away from the house in the rain.
Yeah. None of us were that girl. I don't know where they found that stock image, but
I was gonna ask, is that you?
someone asked me if it was me. I was like, definitely wasn't me. I don't know who that was. It was just a stock photo they found on Pinterest.
Oh my god! You got to look at everything that you've done in terms of body work, and you've done horror and science fiction, and you've done some drama, and you've done sitcoms, and you've done a Christmas movie.
Have I done all these things? I don't think so. No.
You did a snow globe Christmas, which I've seen,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
What?
I was gonna admit to you that I have seen, unfortunately.
You saw Snow Globe Christmas?
Yes, it was on TV like years ago.
That is so awesome. It was on Lifetime, right?
Yeah, I think so. Did you know there were 37 made-for-TV Christmas movies this past Christmas?
It's insane.
Yeah. The best one was about two competing toy stores, and they have to team up, and eventually they fall in love, to stop the big conglomerate toy store that moves into their town. And one toy store owner is played by Melissa Joan Hart, and the other one's played by Mario Lopez.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I have to watch this. I grew up on Saved by the Bell and Clarissa Explains It All, and then Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I have to watch this movie.
Oh my gosh. I was obsessed with Sabrina and Clarissa Explains It All. I was obsessed with Melissa Joan Hart. I thought that I would, when I was 16, I was going to hear that I was a witch because of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I was like, I'm going to find out that I have magical powers.
Well, I mean, you could always call your agent. They have just announced that Netflix is going to be doing the chilling adventures of Sabrina, which is based on the comic book where Sabrina has a very Rosemary's Baby kind of origin story.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's Sabrina the Teenage Witch as a horror, actually, story. And it's not going to tie into Riverdale, which is currently on. And Riverdale has basically become like a horror thriller kind of show, with the Archie cast.
Oh.
Yeah, so maybe you can get on that.
I know, I just saw the news about it, but it sounds very interesting.
You could be cast as possibly one of the aunts of Sabrina. I mean, they're kind of supposed to be witches, so they're supposed to be like immortal and retain their, good looks and everything. You could be like 150 years old and, in the body of whatever age you are now.
Yeah, whatever age I am now.
Whatever age you are now.
Hello, we're not going to disclose that.
No, but you understand what I'm saying, though. They can they're casting it. Call that agent.
Yeah, I know. I need to call my agent.
All these great ideas I'm throwing at you, and you'd be like, what the interview said? He said I should do this. He said it should be the Avengers. Can I get on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think you need a commission if I get any of these things.
I think I do. I think I need to call my non-existent agent who's, like my mom or something. And you work in the LA Hollywood machine. And there was a movie you did in 2014, which I did see, called Deadly Famous. And all the bullshit that happened in Hollywood last year, do you think that Hollywood has any more dark secrets that are about to be exploding all over the news besides alleged rape and sexual harassment, something darker?
Well, I mean, I hope not. That sounds very sad. I'm not surprised by Hollywood anymore, honestly. I've experienced my share of very strange experiences where I was like, I've experienced like I said, it's tough to go into things, but I think most actresses in this business have experienced some level of, it's devastating to know that, but I think most people that I spoke to had experienced some level of sexual harassment, and I think that is it's a shame because it takes away from, we're all here to do our art, and we're all here to be part of something special, and we're just trying to do our best, and that kind of takes away. It obviously does. It takes away from what we're really trying to do, and I think, it's sad. It's really sad.
I do like the original title of Deadly Famous, which was Headshot.
Headshot was a great title. I really like that title also. That's what, when I auditioned for it, that's what they... Actually, that audition was so weird. It just came up in my email, randomly. I don't even know. I didn't submit for it or anything. It was kind of weird.
me and some friends are working on a short called Casting Call, which I really, really, really wish I had done it back when we were originally planning on doing it, which was in May of last year, because it was about a model who goes for a casting call, and nothing's shown. But it's implied when she leaves, as well as several other models leave, that she probably had to have sex with the casting director. And then later on, she becomes like a zombie, and she's not like a brains, not that type of zombie, but she becomes very kind of like just lost in her world. And the whole short film was going to be a silent film, was going to be in black and white with some ambient music playing through most of it. And at the very end, you were supposed to find out what she did as revenge against the person that auditioned with her. And I don't want to kind of give it away, but it was very along the lines of like the movie audition. And I really wish we had done it, because of the fact that I think it would have been like a really good look at like everything that got exploded in Hollywood last year. And, we could have helped give some attention to that in our own way by pointing out these things do happen sometimes.
They definitely do.
Yeah. So I went back to
it.
the actresses that were going to do it with me, and they were all like, "Yeah, we should still do that." I'm like, "Do you don't think it's untasteful that now that everything's happened in Hollywood?" Like, no, because we're in Massachusetts, and no, we should still do it. This is the whole point of like why you shouldn't like stop your art from happening just because a tragedy happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Something in particular that I thought was really great that you have coming up soon is called Killer Island.
Yes, yeah.
Can you talk about that at all yet?
Yeah, definitely. I did that in Florida. It was it's a Lifetime movie. Or no, I'm not going to say it's a Lifetime movie because I don't actually know if it is, but the other films that the directors and the producer have done, they've
Lifetime, the Man-Hate channel.
Yeah, the killer movies have been on they have been on Lifetime. So I don't know. I'm not going to disclose that. I really don't. I haven't been told either way where it's going to be shown. But I was playing this woman named Kelsey, who is kind of this naive character, but she's kind of like just a very happy girl, and this kind of brought into this kind of madness that starts happening in the island, and pretty cool. It's like a little fun mystery. I loved it. That was a great movie.
And I was also looking on your website, and you're a musician as well. Have you put out anything that we would have known?
I might start recording some songs just because I do sing, but I never really pursued that much. I just kind of always took voice lessons, but I never really like had that desire to really be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of do it for fun. But I would love to. And a friend of mine actually, I did the soundtrack on a movie. I did the vocals for this movie. I have to find out. Actually, you just reminded me. I should ask her about that. She really liked my voice, and she wanted me to. She's like, "You have a great range, and we should record something." And so we'll see what happens with that. I will definitely keep you posted.
I do two other shows, two podcasts, and one of them is called Supernatural Creatures and Lore, and we talk about the monsters, mythology, and history of creatures that appear on the TV series Supernatural that's been on for 13 freaking seasons on the CW. Yeah. And my co-host of that is an actress like yourself. She's kind of more based out of like wherever she happens to be stationed because her husband is in the military. So wherever she happens to be stationed, wherever military base she's living on, that's where she starts, getting her agent to go out there to find her, acting jobs and such. And she's always had a really nice voice, and someone else recognized it and got her into an animated movie version of Dead Rising. No, Left 4 Dead. It's either Left 4 Dead or Dead Rising, the animated movie based on the video game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it became like, when we did an episode about, and so every time we do a podcast about a particular creature, like for instance, we did one about zombies, we would also do kind of like a what. So now we take a break to talk about the creature of the episode that Mel has played in a movie, and Mel would then talk about like the role of playing a zombie or a werewolf or a vampire or a serial killer, connected to the episode that we're talking about.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and she's like, this is like it's also like the biggest thing I've ever been in with the most views out of everything I've ever done. And she's like a B-movie scream queen actress. She'll do, anything involving like monsters and horror movie, and she doesn't mind doing nudity whatsoever. As long as it's not like a gratuitous sex scene, but it's like, she's nude and then she dies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got a couple. I've had a couple of friends that. One in particular used to do adult film. She used to do porn for many years, and when she hit like 35, she was like, "I'm done with porn." But I still need to work, and I'm not gonna get a regular job. So I started having my agent look for horror movies, because there's plenty of actresses that will not do nude scenes, and I'll do every one of their nude scenes. And I was like, that is very smart. And she's like, right? So I have a ton of credits being the body double for all these actresses.
Has she been in Rob Zombie movies?
No, she's been in like, stuff like Army of the Damned, Frankenstein's Army, stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so B-movie kind of horror film stuff.
I think Rob Zombie lives in Connecticut. That's why I asked that, because it was like,
yeah, and he's actually from my neck of the woods here in Massachusetts.
I would love to work with him. He's like one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I don't know what he's working on next. It's been like over. We're coming up on 2 years since 31 was released, so I don't know what his next movie is, but I would love to know, because I'm a huge fan of his. I own every one of his CDs, and I have every one of his films.
Oh my gosh, I know. He's incredible. He's such a great director. I mean, some of his stuff is it's very dark, and it's very hard to watch, but it stays with you because he's good. He's so good. I think he's just...
I got 2 more questions before we let you go, because we know you're watching the Golden Globes. It's riveting television.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, my gosh. It's one of those things where you just have to do it. You have to watch it.
Yeah, is Westworld nominated for anything this year?
I don't know.
You're a terrible cast member. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
You don't watch the show. You don't know if it's being nominated for Golden Globes. What's next?
I know, right? Jeez.
Hopefully nobody from Westworld listens to this podcast. We'll just have to chop her head off in the next episode. We'll show her. There'll be a stick of dynamite thrown into the brothel that her prostitute character's in, and boom.
Mariposa Saloon.
You notice everyone on the cast list. Why is it everyone on the cast list people I've talked to who haven't watched the show? For this one scene involving the gunfire.
It's like something that's required. If you're in a show, you should watch the episodes. But
no, I mean, if you're working all the time, it's it can be hard to sit down and watch a serialized show like that. So. But you talked about being into serial killers or into the history of them, rather, not being into them. Excuse me, being into the history of them. And I mentioned
date all the serial killers.
Yes. So let's not send Jackie any fan mail on her website or her Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. You did the retrospect thing, but when you say that, like, do you like reading books about them or watching TV shows? Did you know there's serial killer trading cards that you can collect?
Oh my gosh, that seems like exploitation a little bit. I don't know. I didn't know that was like an actual thing. That's crazy.
Oh, there's serial killer action figures that you can buy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, most of these serial killers
I'm more fascinated by people, like psychology of humans, and I think that's probably why I like a lot of the just hearing. Yeah, I think it's just fascinating. I mean, I watched there was a documentary about Son of Sam and David Berkowitz, and then just Jeffrey Dahmer's story is so crazy. I mean,
which one was just back up a second? Which one was David Berkowitz?
He was Son of Sam.
He was Son of Sam. Okay.
Yeah, and he I mean, I in the interview with him when they had this documentary with him, and he's like swears that he was possessed by the devil and the dark forces were telling him what to do. And I mean, the guy, the scariest part about David Berkowitz is that when you watch this documentary and he's speaking and he's so about God and about, I think so, if I'm remembering correctly, he was it seemed like he was very religious, not worshiping the devil anymore. He seemed so kind and nice and charming in the documentary that it's terrifying that this man just shot all these people in cold blood. It's just like, I mean, if you watch the documentary, you're like, how is this person the same guy that committed these horrific acts? And it just doesn't make sense at all. It makes you really question reality, you know? So.
Have you ever thought about stepping out from in front of the camera? Is it something you want to look into doing later on in life?
Absolutely. That's my number one goal, is I want to be a director. Yeah.
What would be something that you direct? Something that you write, or something your agent hands for you to script and say, why don't you give this a shot?
I would prefer to. I'm kind of a control freak, so I've actually submitted for the Francis Ford Coppola short film competition. I directed something and edited it and wrote it. I've shot a lot of like kind of vignettes, like music videos and little things here and there, but I really do want to make a feature. Like, that's my goal. So whether it's me writing something or kind of co-writing something with someone, that's the next thing I want to do. 100%.
We always like to know some of the weirdest things about guests we have on the show, and you're a dog lover, as I heard you talking to your dogs before we started. But do you collect anything that's unusual or weird?
Do I collect anything that's unusual? I have a collection of. Oh my gosh! Now that I have this question to answer, I can't think of anything. I just started collecting like these New Year's hats. So like every year I collect like a Happy New Year hat. I collect that. I collect crystals, like rocks and crystals.
Is that like a new age? Are you religious? Is that like is it like that in any way?
I just love rocks. I used to have a rock tumbler. I've always been really fascinated by crystals and rocks, and I do have tarot cards and some other things like that. So maybe it does have to do with just I like anything that's kind of magical. I'm very into magic.
I've just put your script together for you. You're into rocks and you got tarot cards and like history of serial killers, okay? And maybe something to do with New Year's because you collect the New Year hats or whatever. The New Year's serial killer who goes around killing new age people.
Ooh.
There you go.
Thank you for writing my film.
I want an assistant writing credit on it and
story credit.
You know, when you're at the Golden Globes next year or the following year, you say, hey, there's a show in Massachusetts. Everyone turn on their phones right now in the audience while I'm accepting my award.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my gosh. I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
I am a Red Sox fan, but probably because I live here. I mean, I've lived in Massachusetts for a really long time, so even if I moved, I might still be a Red Sox fan. A Red Sox fan, excuse me.
You gotta love the Red Sox.
Yes, are you a Red Sox fan?
Uh-huh.
That's because New Jersey really doesn't have a baseball team, right?
Right. Exactly. That's why.
And what do you got? What do you got in New York? The Yankees, the Mets, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you gotta always root for the underdog, right?
Exactly. You gotta come out to Boston to catch a Red Sox game sometime.
I would love to. I love Boston.
You know, if you decide to make that film yourself, there's a 25% tax break on films here in Boston. Is there? Yeah. Hey, you know what? There's Pacific Rim Uprising's coming out. Maybe you can make Atlantic Rim Uprising.
Oh, well, a little story about that. I was asked to do Atlantic Rim too.
Oh, really?
I'm not gonna be in it. No, I felt like it was my thing. It was like do the first one and then I'm not doing the second one. I made a decision. That was Global. That was the Asylum Films, right? That's that company. Yeah. I mean, I really love the Asylum, and they gave me a lot of great opportunities. I just don't think that I would do the second one. That's fine. Because I feel like you do something like that once, it's kind of fun, but the characters kind of I just wanted to leave that in the past, I guess. You know. But
Had you seen Pacific Rim before you did Atlantic Rising or Atlantic? What was it called?
I have never seen Pacific Rim. No, I've never seen it. I do like Charlie Hunnam though.
He's not going to be back for the sequel.
He's not. Oh
No,
my gosh.
it's the guy. It's the black guy from Star Wars. Finn.
Oh, awesome! I love him.
God, what is his name? He's in Attack the Block in Detroit. John Boyega. John Boyega.
Yes.
Yes.
He's fantastic. Yeah. Well, that was a good choice.
Yeah. So someone said he's playing like Idris Elba's son or nephew or something, and it's just like, why does everyone have to be connected? Why can't he just be another black character in Pacific Rim?
Right.
Why does he have to be the son of Idris Elba?
I don't understand that either.
Is it because he's British and black and Idris Elba is British and black? I mean, come on. Aren't we stretching that just a little bit?
I love Idris Elba. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's good stuff. I think the 5th season of Luther is starting, going to be on this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it takes a while for them to do that show now that he's become so fucking huge of a star. So I don't know how much longer they can keep going with that show being so far between seasons while he's, just making head over heels American money on different films and such.
Yeah, he's incredible though. He's such a great actor.
Definitely. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you on social media?
Thank you so much for having me. On Instagram, they can follow me at Jackie _Moore. And then on Twitter, I'm Jacqueline Moore. And on Facebook, I'm Jackie Moore. That was available.
Awesome. Thank you again so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I really hope to come back on soon.
Yes, maybe with your own project too.
What?
Again, maybe with your own project that you're writing and directing.
I hope so.
As long as it's not some wishy-washy romantic comedy like Gossip Girl on the Lifetime channel.
Now I'm gonna make it like a parody of that, Chris. You're gonna love it.